This is going to surprise you. Nha Trang has cheaper apartments than Da Nang. But wait, before you cancel your trip to Da Nang and subscribe to my channel to binge watch my upcoming series on Da Nang versus Nha Trang, I need to explain why this is and what you should be aware of. Da Nang, which has a population of about 1.5 million people, is mainly an expat hub which has been popularized by influencers. And yes, I am partly to blame. Are there tourists there? Sure, but they're in the minority. Nha Trang, which is population of about 500,000 people, is a short-term holiday destination. When you meet people here in the center, more often than not, they won't be living here. They're here for a week or two, and they splash money from 12 months of savings from their home country on a fancy hotel, beautiful restaurants, exotic Vietnamese dancers on tables, and 295k cocktails. Now, I'm sure you put two and two together and work out where this is going, but the hotel market in Nha Trang is more expensive than in Da Nang. As a result of the short-term tourism, the real estate market for apartments isn't as in high demand as Da Nang. You have no idea how many apartments are actually here in Nha Trang. It will blow your mind if you came from Da Nang. You can scroll for hours and hours and hours, and you will see consistently new apartments pop up if you're looking in the right spots. So in general, it is definitely cheaper here in Nha Trang for apartments. Now, we got to get something out of the way here. Are all the apartments in Nha Trang cheap? No. If you want to live in the Gold Coast apartment, which is the equivalent of, let's say, a Monarchy in Da Nang, the Gold Coast building is in the tourist area, it has a pool, it has a gym, and it has a massive mall built on the first couple of floors, so you can just go straight down from your apartment into the mall for the same price as a Monarchy apartment. So the value is just generally better in Nha Trang. While in Da Nang, all of the apartments are under high demand. If you go through the Facebook group, everyone is trying to look for an apartment. Prices are going up like crazy. I mentioned this 3 months ago when I arrived in Da Nang. I said on the video that the prices will increase dramatically, so I made the choice to get out before it all got really bad. I'm sure you're wondering, how much would this apartment cost that you can see right behind me? 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom on the 24th floor, with obviously a beautiful sea view from your bed as well as the balcony. It's $700 a month on Agoda. Now, if you were to get this, I know what these go for. The price can range, but it's between 11 all the way up to 20 million, depending on how high you go and how nicely the apartment is done. Since I've let the cat out of the bag, just be aware that the prices may increase, especially if this video gets some views, because people are going to start piling here, because no one's actually spoken about this. All you hear from people that talk about Nha Trang is it's expensive and there are a lot of Russians. But I'll leave that for another video. Now let's talk about the agents for a minute. The agents in Da Nang and Nha Trang are very different. In Da Nang, it's a competitive market, it's very fast moving. They will want to talk to you and get you into an apartment as quick as possible. In Nha Trang, it's quite the opposite. They don't really want to do too much work. They just want you to ask if you want to see an apartment. So you will have to do a bit more digging, but there are tons of apartments out there. So you could essentially say that the customer service is worse in Nha Trang for agents. English is pretty much zero in Nha Trang. In Da Nang, I've had some which speak a little bit of English and some that speak actually quite good English. But in Nha Trang, I have never really heard anyone talk any English besides hello. Now, contract lengths. This is where things change up a little bit. In Da Nang, you can get monthly contracts a lot easier than you can here in Nha Trang. Because of the customer service thing that I was mentioning before, agents here in Nha Trang don't really do customer service. If you ask for a monthly contract, from my experience, asking about 50 of them, they'll just stop responding to you. They won't even say no a lot of the time. They'll just ignore you. In Da Nang, at least they'll say no, or they'll try to contact the owner or something along those lines, even though they're going to get a less commission. But because it's such a fast-paced environment, they need to get any commission they can. You can get 1 month contracts though in Nha Trang. I have seen them. Typically, if your budget is below about 9 million in the center, then there's almost 0% chance that you're going to get one for an apartment. But hey, there are always deals that come on the market where you could get a monthly contract. If you go 5 to 10 minutes outside of the center, which is what most people do when they live here, that's where you're going to get some monthly contracts for less than 9, but you're going to have your work cut out for you. Now, in terms of pictures and videos of the apartments that you'll see, unless they specifically say it's new, they're probably wrong. This goes for Da Nang and Nha Trang. I'm sure this is a widespread thing in Vietnam, but I'm not sure, so that could be an incorrect assumption, but both have the same issue. In terms of the stylings and the finishings of apartments, I'll definitely give that point to Da Nang. They are nicer than Nha Trang, but you've got to understand that there's a lot more apartments on the market here. So with that comes a variety of different styles. When you go into these apartment groups in Da Nang, you'll see they're mainly European styles, but that comes with a higher price tag. There are countless apartments in Nha Trang for about 4 to 6 million a month, but a lot of them are more of a Vietnamese style. Are they European ones? Yes, I have seen them in person, but you've got to temper your expectations if you're paying that low. Now let's talk about the different areas and the uniqueness of them. This point 100% goes to Nha Trang. There are so many cool and unique places here that are about 5 to 6 minutes drive from the center. I went to go see this 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, brand new, the biggest ceilings you've ever seen, really well finished. And when we were going there, it was so rural looking. I mean, we even had a kid that was walking around, probably 9 years old, and he was just walking around sniffing glue. And all the Vietnamese were just talking about us and pointing at us like, what are you guys doing here? It was the most insane experience. I mean, they had the little rickety bridges that have just been put on stilts. It's nuts. And it was only like 6 minutes away. I didn't record it, unfortunately. That was a big mistake. It cost 6.5 million a month, monthly contract as well, I might add. But the only problem is we didn't get it is because they put 2 air conditioners in, but the one in the bedroom was rather small and the ceilings and the room was just so high, I couldn't see that keeping up and cooling that place down. So that was unfortunate. And then you've got other cool places. So the place that I live, which is the most convenient place I have ever lived in my life and the cheapest. Now, in terms of rent, is it the cheapest place? Definitely not. But you have no idea how convenient this place is. This place I like to call Russian An Thuong. It is incredible. I love it. I don't need to walk more than a minute to get anything done. I've got all of the food, international food options available to me, dirt cheap prices for food. I can show you tons of food which would blow your mind. It makes Da Nang look expensive. So you can definitely find good areas, but it's gonna take some time because Nha Trang is so spread out. But with the areas, this is where it becomes a bit of a pain in Nha Trang. There are so many different areas and they all sound the same with one word difference. It will drive you nuts. It's gonna take so long to work out where is where. You're gonna go, oh, I remember that place. And then you're going to Google it and it's going to be in a completely different location because you didn't recognize that the last word was changed and you thought it was a different area. In Da Nang, it's very simple. They all sound completely different and there's only a handful of neighborhoods that people actually live in. Negotiating seems more common in Da Nang than it does in Nha Trang. And the reason I think that might be is because in Nha Trang, the prices are already low. I have had a comment, like here, I'll put it on the screen, that says it's hard to get a good, fair price, personally, from my experience. I don't know where people have been looking, but there are countless good deals around the place. It's really hard to not find a good deal, honestly. They already have the price so low and you can negotiate them, but it's only very slightly. They won't move too much. Now, if you're in a specific group or something, and I know some of them where they up the prices for the foreigners to make your life easier, sure, the prices are going to be much higher and you can negotiate them down, but you're looking in the wrong place. With Nha Trang as well is the prices are always shown on the post, the Facebook posters in particular. So in Da Nang, they used to do this all the time where they used to post the prices. But then what happened was someone wrote a post on the apartment group in Da Nang and it kind of went viral, got like 50 likes, and it was basically saying that it should be illegal for people to not put the prices on apartments in the group. Ever since that day, probably about 50–60% of the properties don't have prices now. So I think that's the agent's way of basically putting the finger up to the people that supported it. And it's a bit dodgy, but that's something you have to deal with in Da Nang. In Nha Trang, I have only ever seen probably once or twice where they didn't put a price and they probably just forgot out of the 1,000 apartments I've seen. And the last big difference I found is the amount of ways that you can actually find apartments in Nha Trang. It will blow your mind. Like, I was coming here thinking that it was going to be like Da Nang. It's not. There are so many different ways of getting apartments here. And if you want to see those different ways, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe, and I'll create a video on it. Thank you for your time and enjoy yourself.